Marriage is one of the most challenging tasks that we as humans will ever have to face. I know my husband and I just recently made 14 years of marriage. And this beautiful smile that you see bestowed up on my face right now, this was not the smile of 14 years of marriage. You see how quickly that just changed? That's how fast it will change in our marriage. My husband and I, we met December of 2006. He proposed February of 2007, and we were married July of 2007. And when I tell you the enemy came as a roaring lion to steal, kill, and destroy our marriage, he did just that. And the reality of it was that you had two humans who had never seen a healthy, good, godly example of a marriage ever before in our lives. The crazy part about when you have two people like that get married is that they hope that if they get married, that it can be of something that they possibly once saw on television or once saw walking through the mall when they saw a husband kiss his wife, or once saw at church what appeared to be a happy marriage. And therefore, when two broken people come together to try to make it work, sometimes that can be extremely challenging. And especially if you're dealing with a woman who comes from a past of hurt and pain, a woman who did not have her father in her life to tell her she was beautiful and to tell her how much she's loved, and just that man presence in a home and to have an understanding of what that looked like. And then when you bring together a man who had his mom and could possibly expect his wife to be everything that his mom was, that can cause problems in a marriage as well. Today, I want to talk to you on the topic of broken, yet it is already made whole. I am life coach Jordon. I specialize in marriage coaching, where I help women who have been emotionally damaged overcome the hurt and the pain that was caused to them prior to entering into their marriage, and really discover what God created their marriage to be. I will help them work through that hurt and that pain, and to basically get an understanding of where that hurt and that pain come from. You see, as a woman, we sometimes go into these marriages with so much baggage on us, so much hurt from prior men, to the point where when we get an actual good man who is on our side and who is ready to be there for us, we have no earthly idea as to how to handle that and what to do with that. And so therefore, those emotions and that past pain and that past hurt that we've experienced, we bring that into the marriage, sometimes looking for our husband to save us, to help us, to get us out of that mindset that we were once in. But what we don't take into consideration is that he's broken as well. He's never seen a healthy marriage, and he's never seen it done the proper way either. So now what they call it the blind leading the blind, right? So now you have the blind leading the blind. No one knows which direction to go in. No one knows where to start. So then the question becomes, Coach Jordon, where do we start? What is the point of starting if no one knows where to start? And so for that reason, it takes us to my first point. We are to be ye in this world, but to be ye not of this world. What do you mean, Coach Jordan? Let's go a little bit deeper. That same scripture can be taken and applied to our marriage as well. Our marriage is to be ye in this world, but not of this world. We live in a world that is so broken. Systems are broken, judicial systems, government systems, education systems, employment system. Any type of system that you can think of, that system in this world, 9 times out of 10 is broken. Marriages are broken. Why? Because the only thing that we see is the systems of this world that show us that marriages are not working, that show us that divorce is the only way to go, and that show us that there are no great examples. And basically, what's the point of staying married when you can just go and get a divorce? So our marriage is also to be ye in this world, because this is where we reside in the flesh, but to be ye not of this world. We are to be the opposite of what this world is saying. So then I may go to the point and you may say, well, Coach Jordan, what is the opposite of what this world is saying? Well, in order for us to understand what is the opposite of what this world is saying, we must first understand the Word of God. That is the first point. We have to understand what the Word says about our marriage and what the Word says in regards to how we are to handle our marriage. Okay? Jesus walked this earth in a broken state. He walked this earth in a broken state. Everything around him was broken. People were broken. Systems were broken. And the same systems that we have now and in today's time, those are the same systems that were there in a different manner, in a different way when Jesus walked the earth. Those same systems were there and they were all broken. Even some of Jesus's disciples were broken as they walked with him. Why? Because they did not believe him. So as he walked this earth, he had people who did not believe in him. He had people who pretended to believe in him but didn't. Okay? He had systems that wanted to kill him and put him down. And then on top of that, he had to deal with the enemy who also stated that he was broken. Remember when he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights and he went on the hilltop? The enemy came to him and said to him, if you would turn all of this into food, or if you would do this, then I would give you this land. The same way that Jesus had to tell Satan to get thee behind me, that is the same way that we have to tell him to get thee behind us in our marriage. We have to tell him, and we have to keep the enemy out of our marriage, because he comes but to steal, kill, and destroy. Reality TV shows are broken. They show women fighting all the time, bickering with other women. If your husband had children prior to the marriage, they make it out to seem as if as women, we are to always bicker and fight amongst each other. That is the example that reality TV shows hold with us today. But when Jesus walked this earth, he knew that there was a purpose, and he knew that he had to finish what he started. These are the same morals and ethics that we are to have in our marriage. Our marriage may appear broken, but our marriage is already made whole. How do you know that, Coach Jordan? Well, when Jesus walked the earth, he never finished, and he knew that he was going to make it to his final destination, because he knew that his final destination was already made whole. He knew that. He knew that if he could just make it to the mark, that the one who created him already had it predestined for him to be made whole in the end. Well, the same skill and the same task can be applied to our marriage. From the moment my husband and I said I do, one of our vows was to vow that we would never, ever get a divorce. Now, the crazy part about that is that we had no earthly idea that as we were making that vow, that we were making our marriage whole. We had no idea that when we looked at each other and when we said we will never get a divorce, from that moment moving forward, that was the moment that we made our marriage whole. It's not too late for you. If you and your husband have never sat down and you guys have never said that statement to each other, it is not too late for you to look at each other and to say, no matter what happens, we are never going to get a divorce. That's a legitimate thing to do. And guess what? If you do that, you are going to already make your marriage whole. Why? Because you are going to speak those things into your marriage that be not as though they were. That is one of the things that falls within the Bible. We are to speak those things that be not as though they were. Because I can bet you my bottom dollar that from the moment you say I do, the enemy is coming like a roaring lion to kill, steal, and destroy, because the enemy does not like marriage. The enemy does not like marriage. So he is going to come to destroy your marriage. But you have power against that. Jesus had power against the people and the cruelty and everything that he faced as he walked the earth, because he knew what the end prize was going to be. You know also what the end prize is going to be in your marriage. And if you don't know, I'm more than happy to share them with you. It breaks generational curses. It does. It breaks generational curses. Your children will see you married. Their children will see you married. Their children will hear about your marriage. And what that does is that it shows strength and it shows power and it shows foundation. And if you are like my husband and I, and you are a first generation in your family to be married as long as you have been, then stick the course out for generations to come. Stick the course out for generations to come. And the reality of it is that as bad as it may seem and as bad as it may look and appear, really in reality, there is no clock with God. You see, things that appear to be are actually not. What is with God isn't with God. What could be should be, and what should be could be, and what would be is not, and what ain't is, and what is isn't. You see, with God, 1,000 years is as in a day. And one day is as 1,000 years. There is no time clock with God. So things tend to move in and out. And in your marriage, you have to look at your marriage not as a loss, but as lessons. Set goals in your mind. If I can make it from year 1 to 2, whoo! Thank God I made it from year 1 to 2. Okay, what we have to do right now is make it from year 2 to 3. Woo! We made it from year 2 to 3. Make it from year 3 to 4. Sometimes you have to back that thing all the way down, and you have to realize and slow pace it and slow walk it and tell yourself and set goals and say, we can do this. Reflect over your years of marriage. When you make it from one year to the next, sit down and reflect. Trust me, you all are going to laugh about it. You all are going to sit down and think back, wow, you remember in year 1 when I did this and you did that? Man, that was crazy. But we made it. Thank God we made it, you know? And so we have to understand that God does not operate on the same clock and on the same time that we operate on. Okay? And so if we begin to realize that, we'll begin to come to an understanding that what's happening right now isn't really what's happening right now, because we've already made it to the end. When we said I do, what's broken is already made whole. We've already made it to the finish line of our marriage when we vow with God, when we trusted God. And so therefore it is already made, it is already made whole. It is already made whole. But we just have to trust the process. We have to trust the process. It's just like putting some ground turkey meat through a machine, and of that ground turkey meat, you're getting ground turkey. Of that turkey meat, you're getting ground turkey. You're getting sausage link. You're getting breakfast patties. You're getting all different types of things. Look at your marriage the same way. When you first say I do, that thing is about to go through a churning system. It is about to go through a churning system. It's going to be some hamburger patties made. That's going to hurt. Then that thing is going to have to be reshaped and formed into some turkey sausage links. That's going to hurt because now I got to be horizontal when I was just flattened. Okay, then it's going to come back up and now it needs to be breakfast sausages. Okay, that's going to hurt because our marriage just left a tube of sausage and now it's got to be formed into a breakfast breakfast sausage patty. That's going to hurt. Okay, but we have to trust the process that no matter the different shapes and no matter the different forms that our marriage takes, it is still made whole. It will be broken down into a hamburger patty, a sausage link, a breakfast patty, but at the end of that process, it is still going to be made whole. Now, though this may seem challenging, I am going to leave you with 3 steps that is guaranteed to ensure your marriage success if you follow them. Step number 1, let the small things go. Let them go. Let the small things go. If you hold on to that hurt, if you wake up 5 years later and you're still thinking about something that happened 1 year ago, that's challenging. That's going to hurt. That's going to be hard. But we have to let the small things go. Listen, I'll never forget one time my husband and I, we were somewhere, I can't even remember, but a couple told us that your marriage is the same age as humans in human years. Let me give you an example. If your marriage is 1 year old, imagine your 1 year old infant. Imagine your infant being 1 year old. 1 year old. Your marriage is now 5 years old. Imagine a toddler who's 5 years old. I'll give you an example. I have a 3-year-old, and I can tell you, she stumps her feet, she whines, she cries when she can't have her way, she's sneaky, she does things that she's not supposed to do. So imagine your marriage being that age. And just think about 13. Oh my goodness. At the age of 13, you're transitioning into puberty. So if your marriage is 13 years old, it is transitioning into puberty, meaning it's about to get ready to pan out and glide, okay? That's a good thing. So step number one, let go of the small things. It's a process. Step number 2, show agape love at all times. Coach Jordon, what is agape love? Agape love is God love. Show God love all the time. If your husband makes a mistake, just think to yourself, if you were to make that same mistake, what would God say to you? How would God handle you? What would he do to you? And that is the same way that you are to handle your husband. Step number 3 is to, let's go back over them. Step number 1, okay? Let go of the small things. Step number 2, always show agape love. And step number 3, never, ever, ever put your mouth on your spouse. Don't talk about your spouse. That is the absolute worst thing that you can do. If you do, always say positive things. Always say things that are going to uplift your spouse and not put your spouse down. And so I am going to leave with you a prayer that a mother-like figure left with me. Good morning, Holy Spirit. I invite you into my day to lead and to guide me into all truth, beginning with the truth about me. Give me wisdom and knowledge. Make me a love poured out. Let the words that I speak be filled with love so that anyone who encounters me encounters you and is arrested by your love. I dare you to speak that over yourself every single day. Hey, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Life Coach Jordon. And though your marriage may appear broken, it is already made whole.